Alright, so we're continuing to go through line gear, and we're going through something people don't usually think about, and that's, as you can see stacked on top of the background, socks. Now, we all wear socks every day, but we probably don't think much about what makes a good sock, why we wear them. So let's briefly discuss this. Your socks essentially serve two to three purposes, depends how you want to count this. The main reason people have worn socks for the last, well, 300 years is to wick moisture away from your feet. Just like the rest of your body, your feet sweat. And, well, part of the reason your feet stink is because they sweat so much. Um, but you need to get that moisture away from your feet, or you're going to end up having issues. Like if your feet are wet and you're like rubbing on the inside of your boot, that's going to cause blisters and you're not going to have a fun time of it. So, primary thing that socks are used for is keep the moisture off your feet. Kind of a secondary thing is to keep your feet warm. I know it's not something you think about a lot, but the main reason you want a thick sock instead of a thin sock is going to be keeping your feet warm. And in addition to that, they kind of do help prevent rubbing between your shoes or boots and your feet, which can prevent blisters and also prevents you from having like rashes or scrapes between your foot and your boot. So let's talk about what to look for in a pair of socks. And I realize that if you're just doing a short day hike or just playing airsoft for an afternoon, you can get away with crappy socks. If you're going to be out for a couple of days at a time, you're out backpacking or something like that, you really want good socks. So first off, and I'm kind of annoyed that these even exist. And yes, I stole these from my wife's. You want socks that are going to be tall enough to cover your feet completely everywhere under your shoes or boots. I know it's become popular in recent years to have no-show socks and your socks don't come up. Let me grab a boot for a second. Okay, so I know it's become popular in the last few years to have no-show socks and to like show your ankle instead of having your sock visible above your shoe. Frankly, if you're going to be running around in the woods, who cares if your sock shows? One of the important things, though, is you want your sock to be bigger than your boot. Like, if you're wearing this sock and this boot, you're going to have this entire top portion of the boot rubbing against your skin, and that can cause abrasions. So when you're shopping for socks, don't get these little silly. I mean, yeah, it's pretty, it's pink, but this is not what you want if you're going to be out hiking. And for what it's worth, this is actually one of my wife's boots and her socks, so that's why the size is about right. Okay. Put this back. Now, in terms of sock material, you want something made out of merino wool. It just wicks better, it keeps your feet warm in the winter, keeps your feet cool in the summer. Now, originally, merino wool was sold in the US as Smart Wool, and that was actually a brand. Sold very expensive socks back in the day, and they're still in business. Right now, you can find a lot of different companies that make merino wool socks. Like, just behind me, I have a pair of merino wool socks from, we can get the logo to show, REI. This pair of socks is actually about 8 years old. The advantage though with merino wool is it's very wicking and it's great for temperature control. And frankly, it really doesn't matter what brand you go with. They're all about going to be the same. So, like, that's a thin sock from REI. That's a slightly thicker sock from Darn Tough. They both work. The main thing is you want merino wool. Now, one of the disadvantages, or one thing you want to look for when you're buying socks, if you're planning to use these long term, like if you expect your sock to be usable 10 years from now, I'm not saying that the sock won't wear out in 10 years, but I mean, if you're just going to like store this in a closet and then pull it out in 10 years, you want something actually that's completely cotton. I know I just said merino wool is great, but for long-term storage or something, get cotton socks. And you can also look into foot wraps. That's what was in use before people started manufacturing socks. Like fitted socks, like what's behind me. The problem with most socks is they have some amount of synthetic elastic, and it varies depending on what sock you get, what the mixture is. The problem is that wears out, well, it deteriorates over time. So like I used to wear silver toe socks when I was a teenager. These are from a company called Gold Toe. And a few years ago, my mother found in some old box some old silver toe socks from when I was a kid. And these socks were, I don't want to admit to how old they were, but they were close to 20 years old. Actually, they probably were 20 years old. And she just shipped them to me, and I started wearing them. And what I found is every single time I wore one of those socks, it would rip. Like, I'd put the sock on, end of the day, the sock's got a big hole in it. So something with the material degrades over time with those older socks. If you want something that will store long term, you're going to need to go just complete cotton. You're going to lose the nice stretchiness. It might not be as soft like this. You can see that's really stretchy. It's not going to be as soft, but it won't have the issues with deterioration like this. Like, there are socks from ancient Egypt that are over 2,000, maybe 3,000 years old, made of cotton that are still exist and are in museums. Interestingly, the ancient Egyptians had their socks like divided for the toes, live long and prosper, or like the sock was actually divided like that for sandals. Okay, anyways, enough about ancient Egyptian socks. To give you some recommendations on like if you're about to go out and buy socks right now, Darn Tough probably really is a good way to go. They're a little pricey. They advertise that they're guaranteed for life. Now, I've been playing around with Darn Tough socks for a little over a year now, and I've had a lot that have actually had to be returned. What you want to do is buy your socks direct from Darn Tough. Don't buy them from a reseller. Don't buy them from Amazon like I did. Get them direct from Darn Tough. That way you make sure you're getting new stock and not something that's been sitting around in a warehouse for a while. That's the only thing I can think of is why I've had so many of the socks bought on Amazon wear out. If you want a specific model, and I'm actually wearing a pair of these right now as I'm recording this. What I found is the Darn Tough T4021. Yes, it's labeled. Seems to be a good all-purpose sock. Now, this one is partially cushioned. So like you've got cushioning on the bottom half of the sock that is thicker. I think the top's a little thicker. They also sell one that's fully cushioned, so it's the bottom and top of the sock that are cushioned. And they sell a version of this that's not cushioned at all. If you're in a really cold climate, the fully cushioned might make sense. If you're in a really hot climate, the uncushioned might make sense. I'm kind of in East Texas, Central/East Texas, somewhere around there. And yeah, our summers get up to 110 degrees, but our winters get down to, well, in the last year and a half since I moved to this property, we've literally had temperatures from 110 all the way down to 6 Fahrenheit. For those of you who haven't landed on the moon, that's really, really hot to really, really cold in Celsius. And anyways, for me, the half cushion sock seems to be good year round. It just works. If you're like in Arizona or someplace really hot year round, Phoenix area, yeah, get the uncushioned sock. These REI socks are basically a thin uncushioned merino wool. These unfortunately are discontinued. I really liked them. But for hot weather, they work great. And if you're someplace really cold, you might want the fully cushioned. Just one note on Darn Tough's warranty. Yes, they will warranty your socks for life. If you ever wear it out, you can return it, and basically you get store credit for the retail price of the stock. You have to fill out a form on their website, and then you have to mail the sock back to them. And that's kind of annoying because my cost of mailing a sock back to Darn Tough in, I think they're in Vermont, somewhere up in New England, is about $6 to $7 each time I've had to do this. And then when they get the sock, they email you back a coupon code that allows you to go to their website and order another sock. And that coupon code will be equal to the value of the sock you returned, like the retail price that they sell. They seem to do maps, so it's the same price everywhere, so that you can order a replacement sock from their website, and that replacement order comes with free shipping. One nice thing is if you do have to replace a sock and you want to buy more socks, you can do it at the same time and get free shipping on your entire order. And if you return a sock and don't get the coupon code, actually ping them on Facebook Messenger. I've had to do this pretty much every time I've returned a sock to them. And then I give them the return number, they give me the coupon code. Excuse me. They are a little on the pricey side. Like this is like a $27 to $29 pair of socks. They're pricey. But you know, if that warranty, if you take advantage of it, yeah, it's going to cost you about $7 to replace it each time. But they seem to be, at that point, you've gotten 2 pairs of socks for $35 roughly. That's not bad for merino wool socks. And the value just increases from there. And the other nice thing about them is, don't tell my wife this, but you can wear the same pair of socks several days in a row and they're just fine. They don't get nasty. So you can do it. And don't tell my wife. So that's pretty much it for socks. I highly recommend the Darn Tough T4021 sock as a general purpose sock. And definitely order direct from Darn Tough, not through a reseller. I put a coupon code in the description, but their affiliate program is a pain to get into, so I haven't bothered. Take a look at the description. Maybe someday I will. Y'all have a good day.